Coach Collins obviously has been let go at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Herm Edwards let go at Arizona State. We got 6 minutes, 7 minutes to go. First off, we got Nebraska, Georgia Tech, Arizona State. I'll start with you, Trevor, but then I want to get Coach's answer. If you got to take if you're taking one of these three jobs, which one are you taking?
If I'm taking one of these three jobs today, I'm taking Arizona State, and I don't even think it's close.
Okay.
And here's why, and I'll be short on this. Georgia Tech, tough place. It doesn't make sense. It's a great city.
Yeah.
It's a great state, Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, that should be an easy place to entertain your recruits. It is a very academic school. I get that. That's tough. That puts up some walls. But the history of how they've played football may be now starting to show, and has been, a detriment to getting real players there. And you talk about the triple option and how it throws defenses for a loop and so on and so forth. But I think for the longest time, as they were running the triple option, they're now trying to overcome that type of recruiting, right? And so wouldn't want to go there. Nebraska, big time fan base, big time atmosphere, Midwest, great conference. It checks all the boxes. But I think it's an uphill battle right now. I think it's a place that is going to be difficult to turn things around. I still think, and I've been saying this for a decade now, or whenever they fired Bo Pelini, however long ago that was, they should have never fired Bo Pelini. The guy's winning you 9+ games every single year. It doesn't make sense. I know you get this plateau and you feel stagnant, but that is impressive to do year in and year out. So Nebraska be tough. Arizona State, hey, also very awesome city. Great student body. Really cool place to play right there, kind of on the side of a mountain there in Phoenix. The slate is clean. Come in, get some players around you, go win some football games in a conference that I think is not one of the best in college football right now. That would be my choice, Arizona State.
All right, so here's what I'm going to say this. I will say this. I remember when Georgia Tech, when I was at UNC, they had Chan Gailey, which means they also had Calvin Johnson. And then obviously he was able to get a guy like RIP, but he was able to get Demaryius Thomas. Those guys were playing there. And I remember growing up, and I grew up, you guys don't know about this because you're not from the Southeast, but we used to have a Jefferson Pilot Raycom game that was – Coach, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
We used to have and I used to watch I grew up watching Joe Hamilton, okay? Georgia Tech, you can get dudes if dudes want to come there. And so it's interesting to me, which is why I want to hear what you think about it, Coach, as someone who, you're in the field and you look at these things and you're evaluating them all. What do you – give me – you don't have to listen. You can be cagey, but –
I don't have
Tell
to
me
be.
what you think the deal is with each one of these jobs. We got 3 minutes left in the show. So give me what you think about these jobs.
I think it's as hard as it is to believe now instead of 10, 15 years ago. I think out of the three, Nebraska is the worst job. I think Nebraska has changed since they went to the Big Ten, and the recruiting base is different. Kids in the South,
they're out of Texas, they're out of California.
In the South, they don't have. I mean, there's nothing, right? So Lincoln, Nebraska, what are you going there for? I mean, it's great tradition, but these guys don't know who Dr. Tom Osborne is or anybody from Nebraska, right? They just don't know. So that's the third out of the group. I disagree with Trevor. I think Arizona State, beautiful place. What's going on there, right? The right guy, you can recruit, you can get guys out there, but and playing in a league. To me, to other coaches who evaluate these jobs, the best jobs in the country, and this is going to sound crazy, are ACC jobs with SEC players. I'll say that again. ACC jobs with SEC players, okay? What better place in the country? It's a job open right now that is there to do that than Atlanta. What city, right? So, the thing that's baffled me is Georgia Tech, right? It's a persona, an academic persona. From if you want to win, if you really want to win, there's some concessions that you're going to have to make
Sure.
For recruiting. And the right guy doesn't have to run triple option. You don't have to have a 27 on the ACT, right? You've got to there has to be some sort of, all right, if we're serious about playing football, if we're serious about what we want in recruiting, I'm not saying bend the standards completely, but guess what? You've got to be able to get guys into Georgia Tech. And if the right guy's there, I don't care what you say. If the right guy's there from a recruiting standpoint in Atlanta, it can be a gold mine. And the things that you're talking about, spreading it out, I guarantee you can get a Joe Hamilton. You can get a instead of a 5'9" Joe Hamilton, you can get a 6'4" Joe Hamilton. Right? Or some of the guys we talked about earlier in the broadcast, because it's, and you're playing in a different league. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So those guys, you can't tell me if the right guy's not there, if the right guy's there, that the recruiting piece, the competitive piece, you can be with NC State, right? You can be with. I mean, why leave that place? And then the guys who are out there, as you know, from the East Coast or from Carolina, and if you're gonna get visits from guys because it's Atlanta, right? So you've got to be able to. I think it's administratively, the coach has. Hey, what are we doing here with recruiting? What are the standards? Because is it Georgia Tech, Stanford, and Duke? Is that who we are? Not really. Those are private schools, right? So let's not forget about that. And so, what does that look like around it administratively? And so I think with the right guys in there, you don't have to run triple option. Just because that was successful at one time doesn't mean that that's the way to go right now. Because last time I checked in the ACC, you better score some points to win games.